All right, ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome back once again to a special DM radio episode. Your host, Eric Kavanaugh, is here with a cast of characters who know a thing or two about real-time data and large data sets and how to visualize massive data sets in real time. This is tricky stuff. It takes a lot of really meticulous engineering to get this right, to put together something that can deliver that and not be crash prone. So that's what we're going to talk about today. My good buddy Mark Manson of Third Nature is on deck. We also have Mark Stevens and Mikhail Pikaloff of Row 64. And Mikhail's going to, or Mikhail, I should say, is going to start us off with a demo about visual immediacy at scale. So without further ado, Mikhail, take it away.
Thanks, Eric. So today we're showcasing an approach how Row 64 delivers a groundbreaking way to visualize and explore your data real time. So we're going to show how we empower organizations to adopt that new way of visual intelligence and deliver the data into the hands of the decision makers real time, billions of records, so they don't have to wait for hours or days for ETL process to complete. We're going to take a look at a couple of use cases and show how our platform, with the help of GPU and CPU powered engine, can help you visualize the data real time. And do that in a completely browser-based GPU-rendered visualization layer. So what I have on the docket for you guys today is two use cases. We're going to take a look at a real-time streaming use case and see how Row 64 handles that type of data, right? When the data is streaming from multiple sources, lots of things happening, and at the same time, how do we deliver that of that volume of data into the hands of the end users. We will also take a look at another use case where structured and unstructured data comes together in a single dashboard and how Row 64 handles that type of data, right? So transforming that approach into real-time operational intelligence. So whether you're trying to improve city infrastructure, or deliver a rapid incident response, Row 64 makes sure to put the data into the right hands on the second's notice, right? So instantly. So let's dive into the real-time streaming use case first. So what you see here is a cyber attack dashboard, right? So obviously the data is mocked, right? Otherwise, this would be a horrible scenario for the United States to have so many cyber attacks scattered across the continent. But think of it as the data on Cyberattack streaming live into the platform as we speak, right? So the typical weaknesses or typical drawbacks of business intelligence tools or visualization tools that many of your listeners are using today, right? Some of the ones that I can highlight are as follows, right? So it's the ability to process large volumes of data, especially when it comes to streaming data live, right? So a lot of those tools kind of struggle to process that data and deliver that data on a short notice into the hands of the decision makers, right, or end users. The second one that comes to mind is that because those tools struggle with the volume, with the throughput of data, teams put a lot of effort into building sophisticated ETL pipelines that kind of, grab that data, summarize it, aggregate it, right, and only then deliver that into that final visualization tools. By the time the end users get the hands on the data, it's either stale or it's too high level, right? So that's where comes the next bottleneck is they never have access to the record level information. So that's why I picked this use case to highlight all of those or juxtapose, right, Row 64 with those traditional BI tools. So what you see here on this dashboard is, of course, the incident counter, right? It goes up, changes multiple times per second. The data is streaming live into the platform as we speak. The detailed records up at the top, they've been updated, again, as we speak. Traditional tools, traditional visualization tools cannot deliver that type of real-time, right? What we call real-time data access. Of course, the summary of counts by state, high priority incidents by zip code, and the map in the center of all of the locations of those incidents, right? So when it comes to interactivity for end users, right, we deliver that as well inside the platform. What I mean by that is as follows. So for example, as the data is streaming, right, I don't have to stop the platform or anything like that. As the data is follows, I can start filtering, cross-filtering the data to get to the information that I need. So for example, I want to filter the data for West Coast and provide the zip code greater than 90,000, right? That's going to filter just the West Coast records. As that is happening, I can use any other visual on the screen to cross-filter, subset the data, and get to the response, get to the record level information that I need to kind of, make my decision live. If I reset my filter, of course, on the map, there's a couple of different interesting things that are at the user disposal. They can select an area with a triangle, circle, or custom lasso to further subset the data. And again, we're talking about thousands of records on a single map, right? And again, the platform doesn't slow down, it doesn't choke, it still delivers the information that I need to my fingertips, right? Maybe to filter it by high incident response or specific geolocation. Your users would not see that spinning wheel of death, right, when the dashboard is refreshing. So that's one use case that I selected for the demo today. The second one is City. Think of it as the use case where infrastructure data as well as some maintenance and repair data come together into a single dashboard. In this specific use case, we're looking at fire hydrant maintenance and repair data, right? But the similar approach can be applied to utilities, public works companies, telecom companies, right? Anywhere where we're talking about IoT data, right? Structured, unstructured components as well flowing together into a single dashboard. So this particular use case that I selected was for the reason, again, to highlight some of the weaknesses with traditional approaches, traditional tools in the visualization and BI world. Some of those to highlight are as follows. So again, when we're talking about geolocational data, sometimes, or actually most of the time, you would have to use a third-party tool, right, to develop a custom map, to develop some kind of a custom shape file. And usually when you do that, there's a limit on how many layers, how many geolocational layers you can put on a single visual. The second bottleneck, of course, is the sort of data processing power, right? Once you layer in multiple layers, let's say, right, and you want to visualize thousands of points, millions of points on a map, the performance typically degrades for those traditional tools. And the third one is the ability to process or deliver unstructured data into the hands of the end users. So by unstructured data, I mean documents, right? I mean images, videos, things like that, right? How do we combine structured and unstructured components together in a single visual? So with Row 64, again, those drawbacks, those bottlenecks are removed. So to highlight a couple of things here. So for example, when we're talking about geolocational shapes, right, or layers, again, you don't have to use a third-party application to do that, and you can incorporate as many layers as you want into a single visual. Right, of course, drawing a number of data points is essentially unlimited. In this case, we're looking at a few hundred, but you guys saw the Cyberattack demo. There's thousands of points on a single screen. There's no limit on the number of data points you can draw. And of course, everything is done with tremendous interactivity, tremendous power in terms of the filtering, cross-filtering, throughput of data, right, to kind of deliver that data instantly into the hands of the end users.
Yeah, and real quick, you designed the system to run on a single server, isn't that right?
That is correct. Actually, the demo that I'm doing right now is running off of mini PC, super cheap, right? And I'm just visualizing everything through a browser through my laptop. So
Hmm.
yeah, the setup is very minimal.
And you can, what I think one of the keys here is you can filter any number of different ways. You can turn off data feeds, turn them back on. You can roll back in time because really it's in the process of seeing the evolution of an event that you can glean the important insights, right? Like the cybersecurity attack, you can watch as it's populating across geos and then roll back in time to see and to really assess. Isn't that right?
That's exactly right. So filtering, cross-filtering works in any shape or form and according to your specifications, right? So obviously every dashboard can be customized to satisfy the requirements, right, for the particular use case.
Yeah, and real
Exactly.
quick, Mark Matson, I'll just bring you in to comment on this, and we'll be doing our radio show here in a moment, folks. But the amount of engineering that needs to be done in order to achieve this, especially on a single server, and have something that doesn't find itself crash prone, that's pretty impressive, right, Mark?
Yeah, it's actually, there's a couple axes of challenge that you have to factor in when you're looking at real-time updated information. There's, if you're just doing a streaming dashboard with some squiggly charts like monitoring, there's plenty of tools that can do that because they're just getting records in, flowing them through memory, and drawing them on a screen, and that's the end of it. Where it gets challenging is something like this, where you have fixed data, right? You have a map, you have assets of some sort, and you've got flowing data, and you need to meld the two things in one place. That then what do you optimize for, right? Because most of these BI and data viz tools are optimized for a use case, like let's make charts from rows and columns in a database, tabular data, or let's display a bunch of images or something. But when you want to mix these data types, that makes the internal engine really complicated, the data structure is complicated, the parallelism to handle both types of data and to handle rapid updates or rapid flow while other things are static. That's all, under the hood of things like this. And I've had to work on custom tools. And, you've got 15, 16 moving parts when you try to do it yourself.
Yeah, and that's not too much fun. Okay, Mikhail, anything else you want to share?
Just I wanted to highlight again that aspect of bringing the primary source of information, right? Let's say I want to look at the specific unit for a fire hydrant, and I have a bunch of images stored in my database. I can deliver those directly into the hands of the repair crew, or maybe it's a document with a maintenance schedule, right? Or again, because we are a GPU powered application, I can deliver cool 3D models of essentially any diagram, any unit, and deliver that information as well. So again, it's super powerful platform, right, that allows you to do things like that.
That is really, really impressive stuff. All right, folks, we're about to go to our radio show, so stand by, virtual studio audience. And other folks, hop online to dmradio.biz if you want to see the rest of this show.